Hello, so today we're going to talk about universal design for learning and what it means and how best to utilize it in the classroom and in the schools. So first we're going to start off with the definition of universal design for learning. And the best way to do that is first to break it down to each word that is used. So universal can be anything done or used by all people. Design is a plan that can be analyzed prior to implementing. And learning is knowledge acquired through experiences, studying, or being taught. So something to keep in mind is average students don't exist. That's all there is to it. Everybody has different ways of learning, and everybody has some sort of weakness or strength when it comes to learning. They actually say that learning styles are as different as a fingerprint. How one person learns is not how another person learns. I actually am very much a hands-on learner. I took a test and I believe it was visual was the highest, followed by tactile, followed by auditory, and then followed by kinesthetic. So I really need that visual, and I need something to hang on to help me learn manipulatives, all of that. By using UDL, we're allowing different choices, different options, so that everyone can have an opportunity to learn in the way that they need to. We really want to allow students these opportunities because we need them to enjoy learning. That's all there is to it. We want them to love to learn. And once we do that, then it won't stop. Especially these first couple years in school, if they start hating learning in first, second, third grade, they still have however many years left of schooling if they go on to college or their master's degree or anything like that. So we need to create a really strong foundation, and UDL is a great way to do this. So first we're going to talk about the guidelines of universal design for learning. There are 3 principles that go along with this. The first one is representation. We want to present information and course content in multiple formats so that all students can access it. We want to present the information in various multimedia formats. We need to provide alternative information in the different styles of learning. So if we're going to do an auditory, let's make sure that we're going to do a kinesthetic along with it. All of those things, if we can hit all of those alternatives, auditory, kinesthetic, visual, and tactile in one unit, that is even better to do, just to make sure that we're hitting it all and we're giving each student the opportunity to learn in their way. We want to also provide background knowledge and teach them how to activate that background knowledge in multiple ways, such as pre-teaching or advanced organizers or anticipatory sets even. All of those will accomplish that goal. The next guideline is action and expression. We want to allow students alternatives to express or demonstrate their learning. We want to give them plenty of opportunities to express how they want to and plenty of options for them to do that. One way to do this would be different options to complete assignments. So instead of using a pen and paper, allow them to type it out. Or instead of writing out a 500-page word paper, then allow them to create a video of all of this information. A third principle is engagement, which is needing to stimulate students' interest and motivation for learning in a variety of ways. We want to provide options that increase the relevance and authenticity of instructional activities. One example of this would be to use money when you're teaching math. That way they get that hands-on experience but it's also extremely relevant to what they're going to need for lifelong learning, and we need to know how to use money and how to count it and all of that. We want to provide options that encourage collaboration and communication. We could easily let these students teach each other, whether it be peer tutoring or small groups. I know that even a lot of kids like to become the teacher role and go up and be on the document camera or be on the whiteboard and teach their fellow students things like vocabulary or whatever else, times tables, any of that stuff. We need to also make sure that we are doing this, because what fires up one student won't fire up another student. It could be the same exact activities, same exact content, and someone will get it, someone won't get it. Somebody may really love that project, somebody will also hate that project. So we need to make sure that everyone is getting what they need. If they love learning, they will continue to be motivated and will continue to persist in that learning experience they have. Next, the purpose and the components of the UDL curriculum. There are 4 main components. The first one is learning goals, and all of these are really interrelated. The goal is the primary thing which a lesson begins with, but then the other 3 components that we're going to go through do follow that goal directly. So there is the ultimate goal, but these are the steps that will follow to achieve the goal. So learning goals is, how do we translate it to students of a description of what they are expected to learn? What is the standard and how do we phrase that for them? So we need to learn how to recreate and rewrite these goals. The traditional goal would be the students will read a textbook chapter about ancient Egypt and write in cursive a 500-word report about burial customs. Not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody knows cursive. Not everybody can write a 500-page word or 500-word report. That's all there is to it. So if instead we do the UDL goal of the students will learn about and present information about burial customs of ancient Egypt, by doing that, we still require them to learn about the burial customs, but now they're able to use varying resources in order to achieve that learning goal. They will still be required to demonstrate their learning, but now it can be a report, a diorama, a video, anything that they would like to do that they feel would demonstrate their learning the best. Another example of a traditional goal is the students will read the book, The Diary of Anne Frank, and give a 5-minute oral presentation about the author's experiences. A UDL goal would be the students will access information about a child's experiences during the Holocaust through their preferred medium and will complete a project to summarize the main character's experiences. They can do a report if they want to. They can take on the role of the character they read about and act like they're actually experiencing those. They can create a diorama. They can create a large poster board, a trifold poster board. All of those things would be amazing. We also need to look at the instruction materials we're using. We need to see what's available, and we need to make sure they're key to learning before we just give them a free-for-all. These need to be used as an instructional material and not just a free-for-all material. And another example of needing to make sure we're using the right materials is if we do one way, we have to try our hardest to accommodate another way. So if we're going to present a lecture, then we should also make sure we're using slides so that they get both auditory and then they also get a visual. If we do a video, we need to make sure there's closed captioning. Again, it goes down to auditory versus visual, or even accommodate those students who do have difficulty hearing. With those closed captionings, that would also be another way to access the assistive technology in that way. We need to make sure we're using the correct instructional methods. The instructional methods come down to how we're teaching. Is it collaborative groups? Is it lecturing? Is it by showing them YouTube videos? Is it by having them read articles? How are we going about teaching them? The last component is assessments. Basically, an assessment is an assessment. How are we measuring their learning? How do we make sure learning is occurring? Rubrics can actually be an amazing resource for this because one rubric can be used in multiple ways for different activities. The same rubric can be used for a diorama as it can be for a paper, as it can be for a video. We just need to make sure that they're learning, and that is what a rubric will help you understand and help you assess what they have learned. The next thing we're going to talk about is creating an expert learner. So an expert learner has 3 principles that go along with it. The first principle is we need to make sure they're resourceful and knowledgeable. We need to make sure they're bringing considerable prior knowledge to new learning. We need to make sure they're activating that prior knowledge and identifying, organizing, prioritizing, and assimilating new information to go along with that. They also need to have strategic and goal-directed learning. The best way to do this is to devise effective strategies and tactics to optimize learning, monitoring their progress, and make sure that if something isn't working, we need to abandon that plan and that strategy and come up with another idea. We just need to make sure they're getting that information they need. The last way to create an expert learner is to keep them so that what they are doing is purposeful and motivated. We need to make sure they are goal-directed, that they set up their own challenges along with our challenges for them. They need to sustain the efforts and resilience that reaching those goals will require. It's a lot of self-discipline, and we need to make sure that they're learning that with our help. Technology is a very important thing in UDL, but it is not necessary. Modern technology can make the implementation of UDL easier, but it's not at all necessary. We do need to make sure that we are carefully planning it into curriculum as a way of learning and not just giving them go for it. Have access to iPads, have access to computers. We need to make sure that we're giving them websites or apps or different things like that. We can't just let them go for it. We need to demonstrate effective uses of technology as an instructional outcome. That is all really, really important to teach them at a very early age. So here are some resources that I find to be really helpful. The first one is Free Technology Toolkit for UDL in all classrooms. The second is a UDL exchange of resources, lessons, and collections. Sources of digital text or digital books and other resources is a great site. And then also creating a rubric. So if you're needing to create one because you can't find one or you just need something more specific, this website is a great resource to use. So I really, really appreciate you guys listening to me talk about Universal Design for Learning. And I hope that this has given you a really nice, strong foundation for how we need to start using Universal Design for Learning in our schools and in our classrooms. It is so beneficial and it really will help out a lot. So thank you for listening. Have a great day.